Well, good morning. Glad to be here this morning. I know it's been about 2 weeks. Last time we had we did have a big Monday last Monday. We went to Fort Walton and got everything sort of finalized with Triumph. So there's been a lot of things we've done since the last time we had a press conference. It's a huge first. I took care of one on Sunday. Son in Florida. He's finished there. Despite the rain, he did manage to get to walk across and have his name called out, so it all worked out good. But anyways, so we are now moving into this week. We just met with Council President Dahar on the scheduling for the agenda for next Thursday, not this Thursday, but the following Thursday City Council meeting. We met this morning. And then, of course, we have the meeting. The real big meeting will be the opportunity to sit down with John Streetmatter and the council and do some things on the strategic plan, also building values and a mission statement as we move forward. So that will all happen on Thursday. So we discussed some with Andy about the process for the meeting there, and you know, being ready for a meeting from 8:30 on, and it will go as long as it needs to. We will work through lunch if we have to. We'll have something. We discussed having it brought in. I think we should be able to finish before the end of the day. But that's the whole goal. We're trying to get everything done. So we have a lot of work to do. Although it was pretty interesting, we have talked to the John Streetmatter, who did do an interview with all 7 of the council members and myself, and met with some other management people just to kind of get some pre-stuff. And he said, obviously, we were very close in all the words we brought up. He's going to bring forward, start off the day with a slideshow that he showed some of the stuff to us and how similar most of the answers were. So we thought, in getting values and a mission statement, we should be able to do that fairly early in the morning, since a lot of us were saying sort of the same things. But we'll start that process, and then we'll start with prioritization. But these were things that were part of the transition team report, so we're excited about getting those put in and really trying to put us on a more strategic level of where we go forward as a city. Several other things that have happened. I've got here in front of me. Derek's in the back. We have several things here talking about sidewalk repair. Just for you to be aware that per Derek, we have already done 6,217 linear feet, so that's a little bit over a mile of sidewalk with 147 ADA ramps. We have more coming on starting with fiscal year 2020, and it will last through 2026. We have stuff, we'll be done with actual linear feet of sidewalk through 2024. For the next 3 years, we'll be doing basically a mile of sidewalk every year, and we'll be doing about 105 curb ramps. We really get the 24, 25, and 26 is when we really end up doing a lot of the ramps. We were done with the linear feet. I did spend the last week working with the Public Works, and it really is amazing all the stuff they do. I mean, we do take it for granted, a lot of things. We certainly have challenges. But they introduced me, they showed me some new products that we have that are really making it more cost effective for us to deal with our sidewalks. We used to have sidewalks that would slump, and then in order to fix it for a tripping hazard, we'd end up having to spend a significant amount of money to rip out both parts and redo the sidewalk because of trees, a variety of things. Now we actually have some kind of a product, and I saw it when it was in there. It sprays this foam and it moves it up, and they can get it right back to level. And Derek showed me several places where we had used it, and then I got to actually see them while they were doing it. And it's kind of the same thing you put in the insulation, so it's hard, so the concrete won't compress back against it, and it really solves some of our problems. So I really appreciate them being creative and look at different ways, and the time, the ability for us to get something fixed. I was out there, and probably over an hour we fixed it. It would take 2 days. So it was amazing. Also, really went and had a chance to see our guys that do our lights. And I've talked with Brian Devoto, talk about our traffic signal lights beforehand, about really going to this whole process of getting to an ATMS system, which is an automated transportation management system. And I think that is coming here through our TPO. We've continued to work with DOT on that. But it was interesting to me, just to see what goes on. We were restringing all the lights at E and Main Street, and so we had the signals were down, but our guys were working hard, and they got all those lights restrung and re-put in there so that they'll be capable of handling the kind of things that come forward. So you don't think about that. You think, oh, you just make a switch and everything all of a sudden happens. Well, all those things have to be wired to handle, and they have to have all the right equipment in there to be able to handle stuff, the boxes and everything else. So it really is, when you think about it, it's fairly amazing all the work that goes into just a traffic signal. So it was interesting seeing that. Then I did have the opportunity to clean out a storm gutter, and it was amazing. We went to a vault, and we looked at the vault. And the good news was there was nothing in the vault, but that caused us to say, boy, we might have a problem up the way. And sure enough, we had a whole vault base that was just full of oak leaves. Apparently, somebody let a log go down into the storm vault, and then somebody else's trash lid got in there. And so once we got down there and got those out, we had to take a pressure washer, just move down all the leaves. But we got that done. We also got a chance to do some. We were doing some improvements. We had some road sagging. We just really needed to fix some stuff on Spring Street. So I got the chance to do the jackhammer and enjoyed that as well. And then finally, we had one of the last storm vaults we have on Bayou Tahar, and I can't remember. It was a Tampa or. Okay, yeah, it tries to pack all the sand after they've put the vault in. So that was on Yates, at the end of Yates going into the bayou. We put another one of those in, and I think if you really take a look and see that, I've seen huge improvements in water quality as a paddle water. I've seen it over the last few years. I think the decisions the city has made, these go all the way back to the early 2000s. I remember we were putting in some of these vaults. We got about 6 of them left to go that are the last 6 that we have to put in. They're not fun. I know we were there. The neighbor next to it was not happy about it, and I totally understand they're not fun when they're going in with construction, but I do think they're going to be, when you look at what's going to be going on, they are going to be substantial in what they can do. They can keep out the leaves, the gunk you don't want getting in there off the roads, and then just keeping trash and litter. There's another section. It has 3 different sections that it traps things into, and then you just go in there and you suck it out and clean it out and keeps that stuff out of the bayou. So it's going to help the bayou dramatically. We put these all over. We got about 6 of them left, so it was just good. I got a chance to see it and see how it works, and I really appreciate the Public Works taking me through. We also went to Bayview Senior Center, and that project has gotten a little bit more expensive and is going to take a little bit longer than expected, but it was a project that was going to go in there and help ADA the bathrooms so they could be compliant. And then all of a sudden we got in there and we realized there was significant sheetrock and other damage from the roof system. We fixed the roof system. Now we're in the process of getting all the mold cut out of different areas, but we are going to get that senior center back open. I know that people keep asking when we're going to be there, but we've got it under construction, and it ended up being a little bit more expensive. We also just got out of a meeting with Councilman DeHar, and we were kind of briefing him what happened, and again, he was at least familiar with construction. Sometimes projects get more expensive than you think, because you get in there and you realize, okay, we didn't realize we had this bad of a leak problem that was a problem in there, but now we think we've got it solved, and we'll fix the sheetrock, and everything's going to go back in, and we'll be ready to get that thing open. Derek, when we plan to have it open?
Well, I believe it's on an 8 to 9 month time frame currently.
Okay. So about the first part of 2020.
Yep, that'd be about right.
We hope to have the senior center back open, and probably looking at January, February next year. But those are some of the things that were going on. Again, this week our big thing is going to be is the process that we'll be having for the strategic planning session, but we'll also have Friday ends the opportunity for us to get the survey process that we're doing, and we've been tracking fairly well. I think we're probably, the whole goal is to be over 50%. I think we're headed in that direction on survey responses.
Over 70, and we're above 70.
We're at 73 as of this morning.
All right, there we go. So I knew we last week when we were, I think we were down around 50. So that's a good job. We got the rest of the surveys in. I think we had a little bit of problem with some of the groups that they're not at a computer, they're in the field, and we had to work to make sure they had enough access to get to the survey. So I'm glad we're at 73%. Very excited about that number. And we go through Friday, so the last 27% still have a chance. But that's it for what we're doing. As always interested in what's interesting to you guys.
You mentioned the Bayview Senior Center. Do we have a timeline on the community center also?
Community center is moving on time. The biggest thing, we were out there, we did go take a look at that, and what you saying?
August of next year.
August of next year. But the most expensive part about that site was not the construction of the building, it was the site work. And the problem is, that was another thing looking at that I did not realize. We were on the hill last year in the campaign, they kept talking about the numbers. I was like, what are they building this thing out of? And I think everybody was asking the question. But it wasn't the building. The building is going to be fairly a standard. What happened is you had a lot of site work, and the problem you have there is you had a number of different storm waters. Everything was running right into there and under the building. And not only that, we had a fairly small pipe, and I saw the pipes we were replacing it with. Derek showed, I think that's what I really appreciate our public works. Anytime they can, they've really improved things. So they're going to make it where we can better handle stormwater. We have a vault and an opportunity to make sure that stormwater gets contained and treated before it gets back into the bayou. So I think we've done a lot of good things for the stormwater and water quality, but overall that should help drainage in East Hill and the Bayview area, and getting more capacity for stormwater to go through. And it had to be rerouted around the building. So I didn't realize that was much of the expense, but you go down there right now, they got it going. They should be finishing up the site work portion of it and should have everything ready to go. They have some big pipes down there they've been working on redoing.
Will any of those drainage improvements benefit the dog park, and is there any plan to improve the dog park?
And again, Derek's saying yes, the drainage that's one of the reasons, the idea of what's happening there. Two, I think we'll have to look and see what we can do with the entire, our whole thing is to improve the facility, but we'd like to see how it looks with once we get the new building built. Brian, do you have anything specific?
Yeah, we've hired a local architect, landscape architect, to take a look at Bayview as well, to look at how we can use some additional plantings out there to slow some of the water that's coming down through there now and causing erosion. The Bayview Dog Park specifically is a major problem because of the slope and the angle it's sitting on. It's when the dogs tearing all the grass out, there's nowhere for the sand and dirt to go but downhill. So, in my opinion, that's in a bad location, but it is what it is for now.
But that's part of the problem with the drainage, right? I see Derek wanting to say something too.
That's why we're putting in a stormwater treatment unit just downstream from that, so it will handle and treat the runoff from the dog park before it goes in the bayou. And there's some other things that we're doing by upgrading the system that will help the erosion a little bit upstream. But as Brian said, it's more of a site-specific issue where that the dog park itself needs some stabilization put into it.
So is that site, are we committed to that site? Because we don't want to talk about whether a different location for it would be better.
Well, again, I at this point, I would say I'd be happy to get together with Brian as we finish up. Let's finish up where we are, know what we've got, all our improvements on the lower side, and then we can go back and reevaluate anything. I will say one thing was impressive. The dog park on the water side was well utilized, and that's our intention to continue to keep working with that and have that fully functioning. Yes?
The meeting on Thursday, strategic plan. Can you kind of talk about that a little bit? Sort of what is the goal at the end of that meeting?
The goal is twofold. There are two things happening. One of the things in the transition report was that they wanted us to have a strategic vision as far as where we go, that we have a mission, that we have values, So when somebody starts work here or somebody becomes a citizen here, they understand very clearly what we do and what's our mission and what's our goal to do. And so our employees also understand what it is that's their job to do. So the idea was to try to get something that we could easily and clearly define. I think the fire department and the police department have mission statements, but we don't have a mission or values for the organization. So that was one of the things that Quint had said we needed to do. So we're doing that too. The other part is obviously we have 55 things. Now we've done some of them. Some of them are underway, and some of them are in the future as we're moving forward. And so really it begins to lay out to both staff and our citizens through working with the council, because it's going to be important. There's going to be funding required, so we need the council to say these are the priorities. Because right now it's just kind of you throw up a priority and put it on the agenda, and that becomes it. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I think we ought to look at, if we decide we want to fund this position, then it means that we can't fund this position. So there were a few things in there. There were some requests for the for the complete streets. There's a request in there for somebody with the environmental, and there's a request in there also for neighborhoods. We don't have enough money to go hire all these individuals in this next fiscal year. So we want to know what we want to be moving forward. Clearly, one of the things that I thought, and I realized I jumped ahead of it, but it became so much of an issue, was I think really what we needed was to start dealing with the complete streets. I mean, that's what we want to start to figure out, how to make things more bikeable, more walkable. We right now, at the end of this week, will be finishing up. We will have selected this week somebody for sanitation. We then will move into, hopefully next week we'll have a better definition of who we have for the assistant city administrator. And I think after that point, we've got Chris and his team real busy interviewing. So we have not gotten where we are right now with the complete streets. But I know part of it is that it's open and we're still looking for people. If we can find somebody, that's what we're looking for, good people to apply. So I know that Chris and them are still working through that.
Where are you on the assistant administrator?
Assistant administrator, we've interviewed, Chris and his team have been interviewing, I think they had 8 people, and they're going to try to narrow it to 3 to bring to me. So I think they've been in the process of interviewing. They should be wrapping up, Chris, this week on those interviews.
In the next week or so, yes.
Okay. Like I said, so those should be coming, and then they'll have sort of the last 3 that they'll bring to me.
So going into the strategic plan, what is this is kind of a basic question, but what is your idea of what the city's mission is?
I think one of the things that came across, I mean, obviously I think we're into providing public goods and services, and I think we want to provide the highest quality of public service, and want to be able to do it accountably and transparently for the citizens. Those are things that I think we should begin to look at mission statement, what we should be putting in there. Again, this is a team exercise between the mayor's office and the council, so I don't want to say that somehow I want to be careful to say that what I say is necessarily it, because there are 7 other people that are going to be a part of this process. So, that may be what it is to me and how we do that, but I certainly want their input as well. I think from there, from a strategic plan, begins to say these are the things we want to be leaders in. I think we certainly have expressed it. We have a lot of discussion in it. We haven't really figured out how to put it as a priority other than the complete streets, but we clearly have said, we want the city to be more walkable. We're having these challenges. We don't, with the accidents we're having between pedestrians and cars and bikes and cars, we want to solve those. Now, again, I don't think we're ever going to perfectly solve everything, but I think we're going to make our communities more walkable. I think what we want to do also is find ways to improve the quality each and every neighborhood. We said that, it's not just downtown. Last week I was out at the Derrick and I were out with Scenic Heights Elementary, looking at what we could do with Langley Avenue. So we actually talked to them about a couple of things that would improve safety on Langley for pedestrians and bikes and kids going to Scenic Heights Elementary. So, we are working several of those things, and it's not just a downtown issue. But let's look at a couple of other things. How do we deal? Clearly, we've been talking about environmentally. We want a smaller footprint of that's part of all this stuff with walkability. The more we can get people to walk and take other multimodal forces of transportation other than just a car will help us in so many ways become better in our own environment, but also then looking at our own practices within our own buildings. We definitely want to be more environmental and figure out how we can shrink the amount of energy we use and be more respectful of that and conserve in any opportunity we can. And then obviously as a waterfront community, how can we be more resilient against storms and sea level rise and a variety of other things that we're battling at the same time. So again, all of those are things we want to do with the environment. But then lastly, we talked about neighborhoods. We want to be involved in every neighborhood. We want to be figuring out a way to make every neighborhood better. I think we've done a lot of that as we're moving forward. Brian's really helped in every neighborhood, making sure we have the kind of equipment that we need to for parks and recreation. We take that very seriously. If you're in the city limits, there are parks that are accessible to you, and so we've done a lot with the equipment. And by the way, I do hear from Andrew that we get a lot of Facebook usage of my slide going down the slide there at Armstrong Park.
You led by example.
Tried to. Anyways, we've got a lot of good things. If you haven't gone and seen that park or the one at Hitzman, that's the kind of stuff and the amenities we're trying to bring to every neighborhood and make every neighborhood the kind of quality place that we want it to be. Again, we want all of our neighborhoods to be improving, and we are committed to that, and I really appreciate the team's commitment to that as we move forward. Yes?
Will this meeting Thursday, will it just be laying out priorities, we want to do this on environmental front or this on a walkability or something, or will they actually be locating funding sources, to see these efforts through?
Well, I mean, my hope is if they say this is a priority, then we'll figure out how to do the funding sources. I don't think at this point we're actually specifically asking them to address funding, but we're asking them to address priorities so that when we step into the budget season, when we are doing funding, they'll fund the priorities that we're asking for. I mean, we've all agreed to this is a strategic way we want to do it. Here's the reason it's coming there. So, again, I think we're very close to having the budget finalized and ready to be presented. I think Mr. Barker's out of town. He returns back this week, and so when he does, we will be ready to go and have something that we can get both to the public and to the council, and at least let them take a first blush, and we'll keep working. I mean, we got a long way for the budget process. Obviously, we want to take council's input, citizens' input, and we want to keep moving forward. But I think we've been able to do a lot of things, address some deficiencies we had, the things we heard out of the initial reactions back from employees about the city and how we could figure out ways to move forward. So I think I'm excited by what we've been able to do. I mean, I don't think it's like anything else. It's probably not perfect, but it's the best we can find and how we can recognize and move forward. So we at least asked everybody to give us their ultimate wish list. And I really appreciate it. I see Brian and Derek here, and I know that everybody submitted everything they wanted. That doesn't mean they got everything they wanted, but at least what I was told, they were very happy that for the first time, they really had the opportunity in a long time to put out everything they wanted, and we just kind of tried to balance from there. But I think it's hard to balance your budget unless you begin to know what your priorities are and what you're trying to achieve. Because every one of these departments is great work, and they're great at improving it. It's just, I'm not going to sacrifice roads just to have parks. I'm not going to sacrifice all my parks just to have roads. So, both, I'm picking on them for being in the room, but, Derek and Brian do a great job. They ask for a lot of stuff, and I'd love to give them everything they wanted, but I can't, and I've got to balance what it is. So I've got to understand what we're trying to achieve. Yes.
The port study came out, and it was big, to do, and there hasn't, to my knowledge, been any real movement on that because it kind of had the scape stuff, and the master plan kind of took over. These are all big, long-term, grand ideas, but where do we go next on, particularly the port study, if there's been any motion on any of that stuff?
I think there has been. I think it would be great to have Amy here. She'd be more than happy. I'll talk to her about talking to you. But I think what we said in the port study was this is the vision for what we want to do. But we were very clear that we weren't going to just go out and build something without a plan for somebody coming in. So I think what it has allowed Amy to do is it's given Amy the ability now to go find the niches that we can work with. It's identified them, but until we have somebody, I don't see any reason. We have so many pressures on funding to necessarily take a bunch of funding out there and go, let's go build something, and we have no idea if anybody will even come or what they'll do. I think we're waiting for the private sector, for Amy to go. She now knows. She felt very comfortable about it because she feels like now she knows what she should be out there going to recruit and things she shouldn't be going out there to recruit. And so I think it helps her narrow what she's wanting to do. And so from her standpoint, I think she and Clark and the team are out there going forward. And I would suspect in the near future you will see some things coming forward that will begin that process. There are a couple of different things she's been talking to. But until we have somebody coming to us that says, we're ready to invest and we're ready to be a part of it, how can you help us and work together in that partnership? I don't see us necessarily being out there proactively starting something without having some kind of user that we can work with. But I think you'll see something along the lines of the north side of the port. It may be a little bit different. If we get research opportunities, we'd look at them on the north side. If we get other type of non-traditional uses that could complement the port and what we're doing there, we would absolutely do those things. But we're looking for them to come to us first, rather than go spend a bunch of money, basically, wondering if something will come. I think when government speculates, that's not a good position for government to be in. We should be here for partnership. But not speculation. Yes?
Can you talk a little bit about where you are insofar as bringing county people over here, specifically Amy and that?
Well, Amy Lavoie will be coming over to my understanding, she did execute and will be coming over here, I believe, the 1st of June. So she'll be coming over here to work under Dick, and I think probably about a month or so ago, several weeks ago, I think Chris was up here talking to you about how over the next 3 years there'll be a number of things that are going to be happening within key positions within that department. So what we'll really be looking at Amy to do is kind of figure out how to work with Dick to learn what's here and to eventually be the person that can replace Dick and replace work as we're having a lot of retirements come out of our that department in finance to replace those. So I think that's our long-term goal and what we're looking for. We're excited to have her over here. She did a great job for the county. She's really good at budgeting. She understands it and knows it, which is part of it's not just not the finance thing. Also understanding the budget side as well. She's done both of those in a much larger organization than this. Perhaps we have a few nuances that are a little different, like the port and the airport and the gas company, but she's more than capable of handling those things. And the whole purpose is, again, this deputy position is really sort of an apprentice position to kind of move forward. The only other person that we have from the county is Casey, who will be starting here, I believe, on May 20th, that Monday, 2 weeks from now.
So Coughlin's not coming over?
Well, again, I haven't talked to Matt or anything about one way or the other. Now, as I said before, there is the plan that we do have in this year's budget for a position as a deputy at the airport. That is in there. I know that Chris has been working with Dan to try to keep Dan there. And I think when he was here a month ago or so, you know, we talked about Dan was wanting to leave, and Dan said he needed some help out there, and so the idea was to get somebody there. So we will be doing that. If Matt decides to apply or something else, I mean, that will be a decision that he ultimately has to make, and we will have to evaluate. But we don't have anything at this particular time. But obviously, he was in that role before. He did work for Dan, and they have a good relationship. So I do acknowledge that, but we haven't said anything specifically related to Matt.
We could go back a little bit, talk a little bit about the Triumph meeting and how that's going to benefit the city.
Triumph was big. And, you know, granted, it's the same things we've talked about, but it was nice to finally get everything signed. He had signed everything. It was good to get Triumph to sign off. So we had everything set. The way it also got set, we actually originally set because they STA wanted some flexibility within the year, so in case there's a plan for anything that might happen, is they have to slow down and pick back up. So the idea was, okay, it actually gave us more years and gave them more time. If obviously they can't, when they're looking at 10 years, they can't project out what happens to the worldwide economy, but it gives them some fluctuations to come back and have a couple of years where they can work within it and then come back. And they feel fairly confident outside of, they feel very confident about this community and what they're wanting to do here in the long term, what they want to achieve here at the City of Pensacola. They feel good about their industry. Obviously, they want to know anything can happen over time, and they would need the flexibility. And I think that was a good position for Rick Carpenter. It really came out even a more positive position for Pensacola, because now it means rather than them just having a requirement for 7 years, they end up having a requirement for 10 years. I thought it was very good in the way it ended up for us, and I was glad that both Triumph and ST were able to come together. So,
is it an advantage, your involvement in Triumph in past years, has that come to be an advantage for the city?
I think the city brought forward a good project. I certainly know all the players and have been involved with other communities. I think I want to make sure that Pensacola and Escambia County get their fair share, but overall, as long as it comes into Northwest Florida, we're going to be okay. I'm very supportive of the city of Panama City and their Eastern Shipbuilding. I clearly understand that is important to that portion of it. As long as Northwest Florida, it doesn't bother me at all. In fact, I want to see Panama City become a better community. I want to see Okaloosa and Fort Walton become a better community. If they become better communities, I'll become a better community, because we're all rising at the same time. So I'm very excited to see what's going on with Eastern Shipbuilding there. The other things that are happening, I think those are good things across the way, and I think it's how we build those relationships if we're supporting each other. So I'm absolutely supportive of what Panama City is doing. And again, the way they use their port will be totally different than what I use my port. And I was with someone the other day, we were talking about some of these port things, and I said, I don't want to be Panama City. I don't want to. My job is not to compete with Panama City or Mobile. My job is to complement them in something that they're not doing. And I think that's the more important part of the takeaway, I think, that came out of that study, is it really gave Amy the chance to go with the niche. So again, I think overall what's happening in Triumph, we're excited by. To an extent, we realized we had a major project, so it's going to probably be a little bit, they're going to have to recoup some more dollars into there, but I think by no means is the city over with Triumph. I think we're going to have to digest our project and move forward, but we're going to come back out when the time's right. And I think if you were there the other day, Okaloosa County got $64 million, so almost as much as we did. So, I don't think it's a case of things were presented that somehow the city of Pensacola was taking everybody's money. I think overall we're trying to do a good project that we believe will also be good for Northwest Florida. I talked to several people and Okaloosa and Bay. And I fully believe that the movement of the aviation corridor from Mobile to Pensacola is eventually going to move further east at some point, and will be very good for them as well. I think if we can make this the new aviation corridor, we've been trying to do that for 20 years, and if we can finally get that done, that's a good thing. So I'm excited. Jamie?
Soccer complex.
Okay.
Where y'all at with that and the talks with the Y?
I think we're waiting to come back. We've got to change some things at the. We've got something coming forward to the planning board, and this month they have to get, because we have to change some things at Roger Scott, our Vickery Center, and once we change that, I think we'll be coming forward to the board with some agreements. We've been working on that. And again, there's some things we've got to do to prepare the Vickery Center for moving that in. But I think as soon as we can get that through,
Moving the Y in?
yeah, I think we'll be ready to have something probably in June to come forward to council and the public. Brian,
That's correct, June.
Okay.
What kind of changes and like how far along are those discussions? Because that was kind of like a conceptual thing.
Correct. We have to, in order to build, we've got to have a different zoning within the airport transitional zone. So we have to get that redone. If we get that redone, then we'll be ready to move forward with a building and a location with the Y. And so again, these things are all sort of contingent on one thing. If you get one thing clicked off, then you can kind of know where you go to the next. So at this point, the way that, and again, it was a case of the city put in there not thinking that they were going to put additional buildings in there, sort of transition around it. We don't think it's being incompatible with what the airport was doing, not in the flight path or anything else. So it just means we got to go back and make our own ordinance. And that's one of the things I said, I don't look for us to be able to do something just because we want to do it. We all go through the proper channels and get done what we need to be done. So we need to change rezoning so we can put the additional the new Y building there. Once we get that done, we'll know where we move forward and have a chance to bring that in. So from our standpoint, I think we'll have an agreement set up with the Y that we can get that new building, do the swap, and then have something we can take to the council and the citizens and show what we're going to be able to do. But I don't think anything on the Langley side has not changed at all. The Langley position is exactly the same as what we were planning to do before. It'll be significant improvement to the park, and also Derek's left, but it'll be improvement to Langley in dealing with some slowdown on the traffic on Langley that we want to do at Hilltop. So I think we'll see that happening. Those are the things we've proposed, and we're staying there. The real question now is how do we fit it into Vickery?
And so the Y is on board.
Yeah. I mean, the Y's been, again, I keep trying to explain this to everybody. The Y this is an initiative that, again, the fastest thing to do if people somehow didn't, I think they finally understood. They kept thinking somehow the city was taking the Y from them. It wasn't the case at all. The Y made a decision. The Y made the decision to leave Langley. It's just not cost effective for them.
But insofar as going to Vickery, that's pretty solid.
I think it's as solid as we can get the approval on the location. Do you want to speak to that, Brian?
Yeah, real briefly, the idea, the concept is that they'll build a facility in the future. It's not going to happen tomorrow. They have a concept. That's all they have at this time, a block. We'll get them the site. They'll give us their site. We'll begin to lease them space in the Vickery Center in the afternoon school hours, conceptually, so that they can run after school care. And then in the summer, they'll also rent space in the Vickery Center for summer camp care. We'll continue to do the things we do with athletics at the site, and they'll continue to do the things they do really well. And then we'll start demo and building over at Langley as soon as we can.
Okay. Any ETA on when?
Well, it's first going to come to council, and we got to get it approved. Sure. We expect to have it. We're looking at June is what we're shooting for.
I guess I'm at home Langley, like next soccer season, the soccer season.
Well, I told Andrew a while back I was optimistic that we'd be out there this fall, and that's obviously not gonna happen. So now I'm optimistically gonna have soccer on Langley in the spring. And I remain optimistic about that.
But there are so many things that are contingent upon, you know, I mean, we have other sports, we have lacrosse wanting to come in, we have a variety of other issues that we're trying to figure out on field space. These are good problems to have. This means you have more kids in your community. We have more youth opportunities. I mean, there was a while where we were shrinking youth in the city. I think seeing youth participation increase is a good thing, but that creates problems. I mean, that's an initiative as we move forward and we encourage people to come back and infill, and they're bringing more kids in. There's going to be this need for us to deal with this. So again, we are looking to try to prepare for the growth and deal with that. But we think this will allow us to get what we need to do, but also, you know, again, keep the Y in some capacity in Northeast Pensacola, which is a good thing. I think if they were to totally leave Northeast Pensacola, it would not make that. You know, in some ways that you know how we figure out ways to work. However, this and likely to turn down, you can enter from Tippin 12th. You can enter the Victory from there, and you're right there on site where the new facility will be. So, you know, from that standpoint, we feel like it's very accessible. Or if you're in Scenic Heights and you live closer to Spanish Trail, it's real easy. You go down Spanish Trail, you hit Summit, you take a right, and you eventually take a right into the complex there at Victory. So we feel like at the same point we've at least services in the overall service area. So, you know, that's what we're excited about as well. Yes.
I had to dig this question up, but the Maritime Park over there. At one point in time, there was an effort made to go out and find other things to put in the park during the off season. They were trying to get concerts in there. If you remember, Charlie Daniels maybe played there. Maybe the one and only concert. Are y'all gonna re-up that effort?
Again, I think we're making a fairly significant effort to involve things at the park in general. Now, are you talking about in the baseball stadium or what?
Taking advantage of the venue.
I mean, if you know, it depends on. I think we are doing a better job of programming the park as a whole, and that certainly includes the band shell sort of amphitheater out there. As far as what's in the stadium itself, you know, we'll certainly work along those lines. We now have it operating for baseball for much of the year, and then we turn around and have football. And so there really is a very small off season after football's over, from about December back around to April. We have about 4 months that's there, and certainly we'll look for any opportunities to be involved. But at the same time, we do need to make sure, and you know, there's obviously some challenges this next year. We're looking at what we do with the field because of the wear and tear that's taken on between going from baseball to football. But you know, at this point, I know we're working on that, and that's where we're going. But we are, I think, if you looked at it, we are programming the park in general much more than we've ever programmed it. And there's more and more stuff. I mean, you almost can't go out there a weekend and there's not something happening on there. We had a golf ball drop. I mean, we had the crawfish festival, significant. We've had other things out there, egg hunts. I mean, it's just, I go out there all the time. That we are well programmed, and I think it's good because we've got a lot of programming going on there, which should make the success. You know, what we'd like to see, obviously, some additional retail and residential would come out of the DPZ study over there. And I think what a lot of it said is you got to have constant programming. So yeah, we do want programming over there, and we're making every effort to program the park in general, not just the baseball stadium.
Yeah, I guess what they were talking about back then was great revenue producing.
I mean, we certainly we certainly want things to be as successful as they can. I don't know of any no one's approached us about that somehow we're gonna make money at having concerts out there in there. But I mean, we'll certainly look at something if it works and fits within what we want to do.
Well, they've looked at it before, but it just kind of fizzled out. I think they were going to hire SMG over at the Bay Center, and then they put together their own team.
Well, we'll look at it. I do know there's made an effort to deal with the band shell amphitheater, and I think the idea is we got a concert season that's coming out there, correct?
That's correct. Starting in May, we have our Sundays
Right.
Blues on the Bay series when the Wobblies are away. As far as SMG, we approached them 3 or 4 years ago. They're in the same boat as we are. It's a high-risk concert venue. With the kind of money that it would take to bring a big act like Charlie Daniels. If you remember, we lost Charlie Daniels because of the rain. We had to bring him back and pay him time back for twice. So it's a big investment, a big risk for us. And SMG is an alternative venue to the other 2 or 3 things they do now. Again, the risk was just too great for them to bring big acts out here. We turned our attention to the blues and do what we can do Sundays and stuff.
You just went through a graduation in the rain. That may be a bad idea. Florida sometimes can be very difficult for the weather, so it is kind of a difficult. I mean, yeah, it's great to have when you have great outdoor weather and have something outdoors, but to plan for those kind of events and end up having rain, we control that. Again,